How's that? All right, I got it. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:33. And roll call, Raina. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep, she's here. I'm here. Mike, I'm Alan Genovese
Present.
here. Mike.
Mike Naughton, present.
Greg.
Here.
Renee.
Here.
Len.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Jane.
Here.
And Deb.
Here.
Is here. So that's good. We have a quorum. We're going to stay focused just on the slide presentation. Deb, thank you for taking the lead on that. That was wonderful. Mike jumped in and tried to address the financial things. I thought it was really good. I'm just going to editorialize that. I think the tone was really good. The way things were covered, I think it's just, it's kind of factual where we can say something with a little bit of teeth behind it. We do, but it's really, really well done. The only thing I had, I guess, missed on was, and I thought I had said this before, but apparently I did not, was slides 1, 2, and 3. We refer to ourselves as a committee. By statute, we're a planning board. So all we have to do is substitute the word committee with board or planning board, and we're good to go. We still have subcommittees, and that's fine. There's no change on that. But I just want to be clear in terms of we're a planning board. That's how we had to get voted by the towns to form. So with that said, I guess, Deb, do you mind if I kind of put you on as the lead for this first part and then Mike as the second part to just any other feedback? Because
no, I want to thank Mike.
Right with that?
His language, I was like, oh, I understand it now. So it was really helpful. So thanks, Mike. It's good. And I think Bill did stuff too. But, did you want me just to read the script? Or I don't know.
I don't know if we, I don't know if we need to read it.
Did you want me to just talk about it?
Yeah, well, like for example, in slide 1, other than what I pointed out for the board, does anyone have any last comments on that?
I think it's good.
I'm going to assume none. Now, what are we doing on My Name Is? Is that going to be the name of the person doing the voiceover?
Or I didn't know. So I left it open for people if people wanted to just read the script and do their own presentation for their town. That's why I wrote it that way. But
okay, I
figured that there could be 2 scripts. There could be a taped reading, and then there could be, I'm going to take it on the road myself kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, you could, I think we're going to try to do a voiceover, but I think you could have My Name Is in terms of the first slide is read by somebody. I don't know. Let's have a conversation about how best to do that. Or someone could just say, when you see, on the first slide, I just introduced myself. Now I'm so-and-so. And then you can generically, I don't know, any ideas?
Yes. I think it should have the voiceover and the name of the person doing the voiceover. Or if there's more than one person, that's another thing. Whoever is presenting this, and I hope I will be presenting it to my select board very, very soon, I would introduce myself to the select board and then say, here's the presentation from the 5-town committee, 5-town board, whatever we are.
I like that suggestion. Deb, are you willing to do a voiceover?
Did you ask me a question?
James, yeah, James
I'm sorry, I was
suggested
getting
that the
something out of the
person
oven.
doing the voiceover. Are you willing to do the voiceover?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So your name will be in there.
You guys, are you sure you want me to be my name on there? I kind of have a bit of a reputation, I think, around town. My husband says I'm very well respected, but I also think there are some people who might think I'm too vocal. But it's fine.
Well, I think that we probably all have various reputations in our own town, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
So yeah. And you
So
could even say
people do know that I care a lot about public schools. I will say that.
Yeah.
So yes,
yeah,
that's very.
and I don't know, just a thought. I don't know, maybe if it should say, if you're gonna, we're gonna do that, which I think is a great idea. My name is, is Deb Botte, and I'm a member of the planning board, and this is being presented on their behalf. Maybe that's just really obvious.
No,
I don't think that's.
I don't think it's obvious. I would want to say that for sure.
Okay, so just maybe tidy that up. So now that we've nailed it down, that you're presenting it, just to tidy that first slide up.
Okay.
Second slide, any comments other than we'll be a board and not committee? Hearing none. Third slide.
Are we all looking at the same slides? I just want to make sure, because Mike, I think you had put something in the drive. Did you make a copy and put it in the drive, or did I see that, or are we working off the same one that was shared?
I put my comments into the one that was shared, but it wouldn't hurt for someone to.
I mean, I can share. I just don't know if I'm sharing the right document.
I wish you would share, because I'm having a hard time accessing it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if in fact, this is the right document, which I don't know. I'm gonna click in here, and we have the script here, which I went in, and all I did was change committee to boards, but I'm not sure now. I mean, so I did do that in slide 1, 2, and I think 3, because we had to do that. That's all I've done, but I'm not sure if this is the right document.
I compared.
I'm assuming it is, but
today, late this afternoon, and I could not distinguish any difference between the two. So I think you've got the most up-to-date thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
so Deb, maybe I should have just went to your suggestion when you said you were just going to read it. It's not that long.
This is not the right document.
I was going to say, because there's nothing in 12 through 19. So which document is it? Is it in the drive?
I think
so. It's the one you shared to everyone.
You shared today. One I clicked on is the one you shared today.
Let me go back to the.
It still has committee on mine, but it has all the words.
Right, and it goes.
All right, this looks like the right one. Okay.
And it goes through slide 24.
Does this look okay to you, Mike? This has got the suggestions and all that.
No.
Well, where are the slides?
No, it's slide 12, 13, 14 are all blank.
Yeah. You sent out one, Greg, today, this afternoon.
I don't think I did.
Someone did.
Someone did, because I copied it off and read it.
Well, how many slides should there be? Because I've got something.
There are
everything
24 slides.
Yeah, and that's what I've got. Somehow I printed this off, and that's complete.
And it's in the drive?
I thought I got it from the drive. Yes.
I got it right from your email, Greg.
Is it from my email? But who sent it? Because it wasn't me.
It was on Sunday you sent it.
I thought I got one today.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
Really?
I got one
It
today.
went to my Hotmail, but I forwarded it to my Gmail.
I have not sent, I did
That
not.
was an answer from Christy. It was Greg talking to Christy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this, so I'm looking for one that actually has the 12 through, that's why I was asking, because Mike, didn't you say you made a copy in here?
I don't recall saying that. I copied my stuff into there.
Oh, you did? Okay, maybe that's what I read.
I'm sending around a link to the document.
All right, can you send it to the STRPB?
I just sent it to you and everyone else.
Well, can you send it to this email address so I can, because it'll access right through to the drive. If I have to go to my other email, I got to go in my other email and all that.
Yeah, and then you could just display it.
If you can send it to the STRPB email. Having any luck? There you go.
It
Okay.
should be on the way.
That's it. Okay, so we'll look at this one. Okay, yeah, there are your slides. So where is?
That looks a little better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to upload this to, I'm going to at least do a shortcut to Drive here. I'm wondering if you did this on your Drive. Because I don't.
Well, I went to the link that you had sent out, which was shared with everyone.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I just
I know,
copied my stuff in there. And
yeah, something's weird. That's all. I'm not
I
sure
don't
why.
know. Well, I had the experience today of copying some stuff into the enrollment spreadsheet, and I actually just went in there and edited a couple of typos, and it wiped out all the graphs.
So
So
let me.
I think Google has some bugs.
Well, but here's the thing, Mike. So this is coming from a different drive because now I have to actually open it with Google Docs. So it's now going to add into the drive.
Well, all I'm saying is you sent a link that was for everyone, and that's when I.
So when I send a request edit to access, who is it going to? I'm going to send this out. Did anyone receive an email?
Well, I just clicked on what Mike sent out and I got the script that you have up on the screen. So
Did you get a request, Mike, for to edit?
Not right now, no.
Oh, it's right on the agenda.
Huh. This is strange because I can't edit this.
Okay.
I think. Nope.
Okay.
But this is not on the STRPB website. I mean, Drive. It's on somebody else's drive. So what happened was somebody must have downloaded it to their drive and then shared that. So it could be on yours, Mike. I mean, because you made some changes. It happens all the time. It's not it's not a big deal.
All right.
Okay.
So are we ready to go forward and start reviewing it?
Yeah, I just want to be able to, if I'm going to make changes to the document, I want to be able to have access to it. I don't have editing access right now.
well,
Right.
if Mike,
Can you send
if that's on Mike's drive, can he do the editing?
He can. It's just that I'm the one that's showing the actual thing. He can do it, but then we do want to get it onto the STRPB drive because that's where all our public documents are.
Right, but my suggestion is that we don't need to do that this moment if Mike can make the corrections.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just kind of curious what happened.
Yeah, me too, but
All right. Ray, can you send
I
David
can't get
a
into
link?
that drive, so.
David's trying to get into the meeting. Can you send him a link, Greg?
Yeah, hold on.
And Mike,
Okay.
I didn't get your email. Did you send it to me? It's
I
Michelle.
believe so.
I'm in my email.
I feel like who's on first?
You're on there. I see you.
Okay, I just changed that so anyone with the link can edit it. Does that make a difference for you, Greg?
Probably. Hold on. I'm just trying to get David a link here.
I'll look in my spam, but
All right, I just sent David a link. All right, so let me go back, Mike, and I'll just double check here.
Yep, you're in my spam.
Strange how that
Maybe
happens.
because it has so many recipients.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's not the right one either. A lot of them in here. So I think, no, that's not it.
Sort by date.
No, it's all right. I just have a lot of tabs open. It's
Oh.
it's open. It's right here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like I can. Let's just see. No, still not. Oh, let me refresh the screen, see if that'll work.
I know.
Okay, now it looks like I can do it. So if I go in here and type in board. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so who's going to edit?
I can edit. It's fine.
Okay, you're going to edit, and I'm going to, so you have it up there. Can I just make a, so on the very first slide, the one with the map and everything, can we just put down in the corner or in the gray, prepared 10/18/2022?
Are you talking in the slide or in the narrative?
Right in the, well, I was hoping, since this is the slide's gonna go on the website, that if they pull up the document, it would be right there. They'll see it was prepared 10/18/2022.
Okay, well,
So right on the slide.
Are you looking?
You don't have to do it this minute.
No, well, but if you look at this, it says script, it gives a date here of 10/16, so.
Right, that's in the script.
You want it on the slides. Okay, let's just.
On the slide.
All right, make a note of it. Let's just deal with the script for now. I don't want to
Okay.
be going back and forth
Okay.
between slides and script right now.
Yep, so 10/18/2022. Everyone okay with that? We'll just add that so that anyone look at it, they'll know, particularly we're going to be presenting this over time.
Yes.
It captures that. All right. Deb, you want to, well, I guess we don't have to now. So so far, let me just see if it matches up. We did, is David join us? Has he joined us? I can't see.
I don't, hold on. I need to go back out or.
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, he's there.
Oh,
He's there.
great. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave. So Dave joined the meeting at 6:50. So we did slide 1. We just changed committee to board. Slide 2, we changed committee to board. Slide 3, we changed committee to board. We were on slide 4, and that looks like it lines up perfectly. We okay with slide 4?
You got to change committee to board. There.
Oh, I missed one. Yep, board. Thank you.
I think they're all great.
All right, I agree. Slide 5. Good.
Yeah, I had one comment on slide 5. I guess looking at it and thinking about it, it seems like the first sentence is good. But then when we start throwing numbers out, I'm just thinking that if someone's reading those and other people are listening and they're not looking at them because they won't see the text, it strikes me it'll be hard to absorb. And I'm not sure they're all correct. For example, I think that in the high school, in the middle school for Gilmontague, I think the number maybe should be something else.
Well, Mike, I took these right off the DESI DART data, just so you know.
Well, okay, I took my data off of there too, so.
There's 2 pages you got to look at because there's a little bit of discrepancy when you go into one page. You'll find, that you got to look into the individual grade data and add them up. So there was a discrepancy of about two students. So my guess is someone updated it and then didn't update one of the pages.
All
Okay.
right, well, my comment on that is that the point of the slide, because that's at this point in time, these numbers are obviously going to change.
Yeah.
I liked it because it just made the point that, you know, we have these two populations. One ends up somewhere at this moment in time around 337 at the high school, around 315 at the middle school. The point is, it's still going to be small, but you can do so much more when you have, you know, in the 300s versus in the 90s or something. So I think it just makes the point that, you know, we're not talking really big numbers.
Well, we
with
could
a
also,
combined district.
we could put just approximately, because these aren't really valid numbers
Right.
anymore. They're from last year.
Yeah, the totals look right. It was just the breakout, and plus the fact that Pioneer is shown 7 through 12 and Gilmonte is showing 6 through 12.
Right.
Well, that's
Which-
because the middle schools are 6 through 12 and 6 through 8 in Gilmontague. And
I
the
know,
middle-
but I'm just wondering how that's, you know, if we're not comparing apples and apples. I mean, not a big point if you want to. I'm just thinking someone listening to this isn't going to remember most of this, and if we gave them fewer numbers, it might sink in more. That's my only point. So saying, you know, the middle school, high school would go, you know, go from this in Pioneer and this in Gilmontague to this total. You're giving them 3 numbers instead of.
I think it's important. The fact that they start middle school at different grades is what causes the problem. But if we throw that into just one total, then it's really skewing it, because we're missing a whole grade of pupils from Pioneer in that count. I think the way it is just fine. And if anybody has a question, the explanation is populations can change daily and do.
Yeah,
People move into town,
agree.
people move out of town.
Yeah, I was just trying to allow for specifics, because the total reflects the entire district. So you're talking all the elementary schools, and you know, what we're looking into is combining the middle and high schools. So I wanted to break that data out and also differentiate between the fact that one is 6 through 8 and the other one's 7 and 8. So it's just to clarify, that's all.
Greg, can you just
I
get
think
rid
it's
of
helpful.
the word currently and then just put based on 2021, 22
Yeah, we could-
data,
Yeah.
and then that would be better.
21, 22 data, yeah.
I'm just thinking about me being able to read it and have
Yeah, sure.
From Jesse.
Oh, from Desi, that'd be good. Yeah, people want to know where I'm getting where we're
Yeah,
getting the
good
data.
idea.
That's good.
That's
Can
good.
I have
Yeah.
one question?
Okay, we can.
Yes.
Sure.
Does anyone think that because of a complaint by the staff in the get-togethers that Mary did, they said, don't talk down to us. And does anyone else think that the word obvious could be misconstrued and therefore you might just delete it?
Yeah, I thought that too.
Good point.
Yeah,
Or else say an obvious.
And or you could just say, you know,
The outcome.
the outcome, or a possible outcome.
Well, it wouldn't be possible. That's exactly. Remember that point you were making, Greg?
Okay. All right. An
Yeah, it
outcome of
is.
You
combined.
want to say
An outcome.
possible.
How
This
about
is going to be an outcome,
An outcome.
right?
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
okay.
Is it right to say automatically increase greater opportunities? Or should
You
we
remember
say
what Greg said, which
automatically?
I firmly believe it would.
Yeah, I
I
would.
just-
Well,
It
is it
would
increasing
Yeah.
greater opportunities, or is it increasing opportunities? Or producing greater opportunities?
Well, I just think
More.
you would say, if without
More
the word
opportunity.
greater, they would say, well, yeah, more, greater. I think that's just semantics.
Or you could
Yep.
put automatically increase opportunities. I mean, greater and increase are kind of, I mean, is it
Right.
kind of the same thing, or?
redundant.
Do you want to leave it in there or not?
No.
Increase.
I
think it
think
makes
greater,
sense.
greater should come out.
Yeah, I think you could just increase opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. 6.
And we're redundant on 2020. We got it in there twice then too, I see.
Where's that? I'm sorry.
Because we just added it at the beginning of that next sentence. And then it shows up a few words on.
Where are you talking, Mike? Just so I know.
Right at the beginning of the last line on the page.
Says Pioneer has populations in parentheses 2021, 22 data. Is that what
Oh,
you're
okay.
referring to?
Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, moving on. 6.
Yeah.
7. I assume everyone's read this, but we're just verifying, I guess, that we read the right thing.
Yeah. Okay.
8. 9.
Wait a second.
Yep.
Do we want the word potentially in there?
Which one?
8.
8.
Yeah. I take it out.
Well, I put potentially because we don't know what people are going to do there.
Okay.
You know, it kind of depends on staff and how ambitious the staff is.
Yeah.
Well, a lot
true.
of it depends on how ambitious the staff is.
Right, but this specifically, I mean, to do community outreach and with the things that they described, you know, in that list, this is stuff that maybe they've done before a little bit and now they don't do it anymore because they don't have enough staff. So I wrote the script with the slides next to me and I imagined what it would be like to see these things that maybe they haven't done at all, you know, so I put the word potential, you know, and this is something that they brainstormed. So I think potential is good.
I do too. It just opens the door for
Okay.
more thought to be given. 9. 10. 11. 12. We're halfway there.
And you know, Greg, you should say the greatest enthusiasm from the faculty participants. I meant from.
Where, I'm sorry, in 11 or 12?
Slide 11.
Okay. And what?
The first sentence, perhaps brought the greatest enthusiasm from the faculty participants.
Oh, from the faculty. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what Mary said, is my memory. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's my take on being at both of those meetings.
Yeah. So we okay on with 12?
Okay.
12 is okay.
13? So this is where Mike jumped in, right?
Yeah, I think he started back on 12.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're on 13
Yes.
and 14.
On 13, do we want any year in there?
Good point.
Yeah,
Or does it, maybe the slide tells the year.
Yeah, but
it does.
Okay, then we don't need to say it.
Well, I like Deb's kind of beginning where she says, you know, I'm not going to read you the slides, but I'm going to give you plenty of time to read them I'm going to talk, basically the salient points on each slide. I thought that was a really, really nice way to do it. And she can pace it now if she's doing the voiceover in a way that will give people time to, look it over while she's talking.
I have a question. Do we want to use the word combined or merged? Because we're using combined sometimes and then merged in other places.
Merged is third rail. I would say no to merged.
So combined?
Yeah. I wonder, attending enrollments, is attending necessary? Is there any other kind of enrollments? Unattending enrollments?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's the in seat, the people sitting there.
Yeah. There's foundation enrollment.
David, you know that now.
Well, why don't we say found? Okay, that's the technical term.
Because it's not foundation.
It's not foundation.
It's not foundation.
In seat's not foundation enrollment.
Right, because it doesn't include the charter kids and the choice outs.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And it does include choice ins from other districts.
Right.
Yeah. Okay,
We
14.
got a problem here. I had a question.
Oh, sorry. Are we on 13, David?
I am. I think the rest of us have moved on though.
No, go ahead. It's all right. Do you have another question or no?
No, I now understand that, but I've been, here kind of paying attention and learning some stuff for years, and that raised a question to me. So what's it going to mean to the average consumer of these slides?
You mean the attending question?
Probably, yeah, probably means more than than me overthinking it.
Well, we're going to talk about foundation enrollment in a couple of slides, and so that should.
Okay.
I think that's.
However, for clarification, if in parentheses it said in seat, I think that might help people to remember. If it said, this slide shows attending and then in seat.
What does that mean?
Enrollment.
I don't think that would clarify anything for the average person. Maybe for somebody who works in education.
If you actually look on slide 12.
I think that's like plain English as opposed to listening to the former Kevin Harrington, the superintendent at Pioneer years ago. That guy spoke educationalese. That in seat doesn't sound like an overwrought superintendent to me.
Well, if you look at the slide 12 explains what attending enrollment is.
Okay.
Okay. Good point. All right, we're to 14.
Do you want to use the combined word instead of the merged word?
I did change it. Are you seeing another instance there of merged? I did change it already, but
that's in slide 14.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I changed it to combined.
All right, 15.
Well, do we want to say it wasn't a given that we wouldn't see financial savings. We designed for it. Perhaps we should be saying that. We went intentionally forward to not cut spending, but get more from the spending that we're already, committing to. And this, which I had problems with that for half of this process. But that's what we did, but it wasn't inevitable. It isn't a case of you can't. You could do this number to try and save money. You just wouldn't be you'd be doing less and less of a good job.
Do you have alternate wording?
One suggestion would be change the word would to may.
Where are we? 14.
On the financial side, we expect that there may be little or no savings. That's leaving it up more.
Well,
instead of definitive would.
I think David's, to his point, I mean, the projections we have were somewhere around 380,000 of savings. So if you say little, that doesn't really mean much to someone listening. They may want to know exactly what that number is, or at least have a ballpark, because people's idea of little might be, oh, it's only going to save us $20,000, or some people might think it's going to save us $2 million, depending on what their concept of little is.
Mhm.
The slide itself shows approximately 400,000.
It does. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing the slide right now. So, and that might be mentioned.
Oh, maybe it should say on the financial side, we expect that financial savings will be applied to enhancing the educational programming.
Well, it does say that.
Well, it doesn't say it directly.
Yeah, how about this? This is partly because we assume that the projected savings would be applied, because we do have projected savings.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a lot of work with these consultants, and they did project that, and we could even say that the projected, approximately, or the projected for 400,000 or 380,000 dollars worth of savings would be applied to enhancing educational programming.
They're going to see
Maybe.
They're going to see it on the slide.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm just, it's just one more way of clarifying it so that your narrative fits your.
But if we have to change the slide because the numbers change, this narrative will still apply to the changed slide.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we can. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. So I don't understand. What are you suggesting for the language?
No, I think it's fine the way it is. I mean, Jane had a good point. I mean, the projected savings are on the slide, so they can see it.
Yes.
And so they'll see the number. So, but that, if we just say projected, it leaves it open that if for some reason our projected numbers change in the future, if we're going to downsize to five towns instead of 6, that may change things. Who knows? But
we don't want to say may, though, that there would be. You don't want to leave it open.
Yeah, I would say may. Yeah.
And that is where in here?
In the first sentence.
There may. Okay. Excuse me. Looks good to me.
Yeah. So we're good on. Yeah, I'm looking at the slides in the presentation at the same time. So are we on 16 now?
15.
15, really.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. And slide 15 is pretty clear on the narrative matching.
I wonder why we didn't get an answer about projections. Off topic. why
Don't go there yet. Don't go there. Let's focus on this.
No. I'm not. I'm just off topic. It's just making.
Okay, on topic.
Because they don't have a good answer, Greg. Why would they level fund foundation enrollment? There's no good answer to that.
That's a good point.
It's
16.
Stupid.
Because they didn't finish their work. That's why you didn't see any change.
Or they didn't do any work.
They're not going to admit to that.
Well, they just don't have a crystal ball.
Because we didn't want to bother. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Are we okay with 16?
16 looks okay to me.
Mm-hmm.
17? This was straightforward on the slide.
Yeah.
18?
Here, I'm going to change merge to combine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Okay, I mean, there probably will be a couple questions around this slide, which we can just answer and not try to put it all in the language. Like someone may ask, well, what does it mean for a rolling average? What is that? So I think we're all pretty well versed in 5-year averages. So we okay with 18?
Yep.
19? Is that supposed to be a slash, like Gill / Montague? How do you usually show that? Or is it an
Oh,
underscore?
it should be a dash.
It should be, not an underscore?
I believe that's the official.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Maybe Bill knows.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay, we okay with 19?
Yes.
20?
Do we need to have again on that? And started with these findings come from TransFinder?
Good point.
I guess in this slide where they mentioned TransFinder, they mentioned
My understanding.
they mentioned way at the beginning, and that's just why I had again to remind them that we had used TransFinder. We talked about TransFinder as one of the resources that we used at the beginning on a slide.
Yeah.
So that's why I said again, and that's fine if you don't want to put it there, but I wanted to explain what it was.
I think
I think
I have a question though. It's based on combining current routes. My understanding was the second TransFinder report was not just combining current routes, but remapping and redesigning the routes to.
Oh,
That's right.
That might well be true. I have no idea because I wasn't part of that.
Yeah, Greg, I think
Yeah,
you're
so
right.
what happened was we weren't happy with the first TransFinders. What they did is just did it as if, everything stayed the same. And then Joanne Blyer was concerned about, wait a minute, you need to take a look at everything and figure out what these routes would look like. So with their help now, they were able to do that redesign and make things more efficient.
Okay.
Uh-oh, my battery's going low. Well, how is that happening?
I think that's a little bit better. It's based upon redesigning the routes to accommodate a new combined district. I believe that's really what they did.
Yes. Yes. And that's worthwhile to state it that way, I think.
It doesn't even have to be a new, it could just be a combined district.
So
to accommodate our combined district.
I'd just say or the.
I know.
How about the?
Right. Yeah.
Is accommodate?
It needs 2 M's.
Yeah, I had it that way, and I don't know why it told me it was wrong. But.
So were you going to start with these findings, or were you going to start with again? I missed that.
We can just say these. I think I understand what Deb was saying, but I don't think
No,
it's.
that's fine. That makes sense. It's better.
Simplicity rules.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, is it redundant to say to accommodate the population of the combined district?
No, I just think accommodate the combined district because that's I think that's implied.
All right.
Just keep it short.
21.
For whoever's taking minutes, Karen O'Neill just joined.
Oh, thank you, Karen. And it is
7:17.
7:16.
Okay, my other meeting just finished.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So we're reviewing the slides wording by wording. We're up to slide 22. Is that correct? 22?
21.
And 23.
21.
Oh, 21? Okay.
Okay.
The 2021, I've got a question. Was Was the Abrahams group involved with the walkthroughs?
Yes.
They were?
Yeah. Well, the Abrahams group, I know Mars did. I think
Well,
Mars.
I know Mars did. I know Mars did. I'm not sure the Abrahams group was part of
Oh,
it.
that's a good point. I don't know. It's a good question.
But it was
think
done
they
with the
did.
facilities managers.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I think it was just Steve Hemmon and maybe who was the other one? Jay? As far as I remember.
Yeah.
I know Steve went and visited.
Yeah, the Mars groups definitely did a walkthrough, and they did it with the facilities managers. It might be worth mentioning that.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, and Mark Abrams just focused on the financial. I don't think he did anything with this piece.
Okay.
I think that's a good catch, but it is good to in consultation with the
or accompanied by.
Yeah, yeah,
Consultation,
that's
like.
better. Accompanied by the director of facilities? Is that their titles?
I just put upon assessments of both facilities done by the Mars group with help of the facilities managers.
Yes. Yes.
Help from.
Oh, help from you. Thank you.
(2021) 22-23.
And I forget, are we adding the challenges back in now? Is that what we decided? I can't remember now.
I think we're wanting to be very careful about how we did that.
Okay, I'm just drawing a blank. We kind of went back.
Yes, we did.
So I don't know, did the working group do that? I thought we as a whole did not, we took them out. And how'd they get back in? The working group decided?
I think they were back in. I don't remember the process. I think the working group may have ended up leaving them in. But I mean, the whole group approved the slideshow. So unless, I mean, we can revisit that, but.
I thought we shortened. I thought we shortened the list that was on that slide.
I think they were shorter than what we had originally, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I recall.
I think they're based more on what is known than our own feelings, which I thought was good.
Yes.
Yeah, Deb Loomer had.
Yes.
I remember as
Deb Loomer had made the point. I'm sorry, there's a delay. You want to go first, Greg?
No, it's fine. I don't have the slides in front of me, but I do remember us cutting it down. So if that's the cut down version, then that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Deb Loomer made a really valid point about, we should not be having a whole bunch of things about what if, what if the sky's falling? What if this happens? What if that happens? Where our report should be more directly related to what we know based on our work, and not get into, all the speculation of what could or couldn't happen. Right. And so when she attended that meeting, at that point we agreed, let's not have these at all. So something, well, they're here again. So does anyone remember, other than me, that conversation and her?
I remember the conversation, but I think ultimately we focused on the things we knew, not any of our assumptions or projections.
I'm sorry, this is Karen. I missed the last meeting entirely because I was away, but I think 2 meetings ago, we decided to keep some of them in. I'm pretty certain.
So then which ones? Is this the ones? This looked like all of them. No?
No, well, I remember there was one about culture, and that's not on the shorter list, which I think is good, because we were assuming, I think that's true. That's my own opinion, I thought it was good to have some acknowledged challenges.
Yeah.
But I also understand the idea of getting rid of all of them too.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're truthful about it, there's speculation in what the benefits might look like too.
Well, I think we make that pretty clear. I don't think we have a potential. We have the, yeah. Yeah, but all of this, you know.
Yeah, none of us has the crystal ball, that's for sure.
Looking for the slides. Where are they? I feel like a lot of things got moved.
Okay, by the way, so I'm looking at the slide. So I don't have, you know, as I went through looking at the first one on slide 22, I think those are all, in my own opinion, I think those are all good. That's pretty factual, that these are key things to look at. When I look at the continued on 20, what's the number here? 23, thank you. The only thing, the first thing that jumps out is where it says merging staff contracts and benefits. It won't likely require, it is a must. You have to negotiate a new collective
that was
bargaining.
one that we took out.
I don't see why we should. That's a big challenge. That is a big challenge. Because
so you could just put will require a new collective bargaining unit. I mean, I think it's something people need to know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says, isn't it?
Yes. No, it says will likely. So that means it sounds like maybe there would be a new collective bargaining agreement. Maybe there wouldn't. It's not likely. It is definite.
Yeah,
It will require a new collective bargaining agreement.
Well, okay, not the slide I
Not unit.
says will.
Does it say will likely?
No.
Oh, well. When I'm looking at it, says will likely. And by the way, it's not a new collective bargaining unit. It's going to be agreements with a plural.
Yes.
They're agreements.
Okay.
Is Greg able to find the slides? We should clarify this. Alan, my memory, you keep saying things were taken out. My memory is that we went through slide by slide. Greg edited them as we went along. We approved the final result. And as far as I know, nothing has been done to them since then. So whatever is there, wherever they are.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go looking for the slide because there were two slides presentations, and we may be looking at challenges from the old one that were not taken out. I made a copy, and that was the one we were using. So it was kind of a record of the progression. But so let's just keep moving. We'll make a note of this, and then we'll go and look for I just don't want to take time looking for slides right now. And we can just make a note of 22 and 23 are things that we have to address. And let's see if we can finish up. We only got one more, so we can. How does 24 look?
Yes.
Sound okay?
So on 24, can you put on there the email address of our website on that last slide, on the slide itself?
You mean the URL?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the beginning, we have prepared on the slide, on the first slide of the date, and on the end, we have we want to hear from you, the URL. And so, did we have, no, perfect, never mind. Yeah. So now let's go, so we're all good there. Now let's go back to just
No. The word combining should be combine.
On slide 24?
Yes, it says if one town votes not to combine, the two districts will not happen. If one votes not to combine, then the two districts.
Well, that makes sense. The two districts will not happen. It sort of changes the meaning of the sentence. If one town chooses not to combine, the regionalization sorry, will not
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I just sent a link to everyone with the slideshow that I think is the final one.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let me, did you send it to STRPB?
I sent it to STRPB and everyone individually.
Okay, so this, yeah, so we have some different versions. This says version 3, so let's take a look at that.
And are we adding the website URL to the script?
That's what Alan suggested, correct, Alan?
No, we can
To the
see
slide and not to
script.
the script?
I would
Yeah,
I would
it should be
add
on
it to the
right?
slide. Put
Okay,
it in the slide.
okay.
And
Because that's gonna
are we telling people our email address also on the slide?
And this is for the final slide, is that what you're saying?
Yes, the last slide. Because we say we want to hear from you. So our URL is important to have there.
24, maybe the last slide is the grants slide.
The last slide.
Hold on.
The last slide should say then a new district will not happen.
What is going on? Like all of a sudden, I just had the slides up and now they've disappeared. Hold on. Oh, there it is. There they are. I got all these tabs open.
You got it, Jane, right? Because we need that sentence fixed.
All right. So you want
When he gets back there.
You want slide 24 to have our
We have our website someplace else, but we could put it here. But I think the email address.
All right, so here we go again. So Mike, you must have downloaded this to your drive because this is not shared. This is not coming off our drive. So we got to make sure that I'll open it with Google Slides, but I want to make sure I can actually edit it.
Okay, I'm changing it so anyone with the link. You know what I think may happen, Greg? I'm not a Google expert here, but when you share stuff with me, I noticed that it does show up on my Google Drive.
It should as a shared.
So maybe when I go do something, but I would have thought it would propagate the changes back to some other version.
It depends on how you access it, because sometimes what happens if you click the download to your drive, it will download it to your drive, and then you'll be working on basically a new document in your drive. It's okay. I mean, it happens. It's it's easy to do too.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think I was doing that, but who knows?
It's okay.
Like I said, I don't. I've used Google more with this.
Yeah,
95% of my Google uses with this board.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of funny at times. It's
I
think that it'll behave like a shared Microsoft document, whereas if you're logged in and syncing, the changes will be happening across.
Okay, so Greg, if one town votes not to combine, the regionalization will not happen. The merger will not happen. It's just gotta fix that last sentence.
The new district will not
the
happen.
towns will not regionalize.
Districts will
A new district.
A new district will
not be.
I think if you dive down a little deeper, it all relates to the terms of the respective district agreements. Warwick is leaving Pioneer by the terms of the Pioneer District Agreement. Any kind of merger of Pioneer or Gil-Montague respectively would have to be consistent with what's in place. And
but we're not talking about a merger, Mike.
We're just trying to.
Hey, so supplant combination.
How does that look? If one town votes not to combine the two districts, then the two districts, not to combine, then the two districts will not form a new district.
How about just saying there will not be a new district?
I like the way I wrote it originally. It made sense.
Read it.
It makes sense.
Or we could just say all towns have
what did it originally say?
I think it said if one town votes not to, then
combining will not happen or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put not to combine. I wrote if one town votes not to, comma.
Merging the two districts will not happen.
It made sense.
Combining the two districts.
Right.
Because somebody put the two combined to the, and I don't know. I was, we want to keep it simple, easy to read. Easy for
votes no.
I like what you wrote, Deb, as well. I like the whole first thing that you said, on our work is going, eventually go to the towns. And if we determine,
right,
you got it right out there. If we determine that regionalization is not the better option.
That's what it was.
All 6 towns would have
That's
to vote.
good.
To regionalize.
Well, saying
town
that two
votes
districts
not
will
to.
not happen, the 2 districts will continue to exist. They will certainly happen.
No, it's
Yeah, no,
saying
but
combining the
combining-
two.
the
I like
combining
it the way it is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
It is what you wrote.
Okay.
But yeah, but I'm fine either way. People have
Deb
problems with
will be around long enough to stop questioning you.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
That's good. That's good. So now we're just looking at the slides that we had questions on regarding the challenges. And the first one that Mike put up there, that is consistent with I remember. Those were just highlighting kind of challenges, but they were positive. They were things that had to happen. What do you have on the next one? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good.
No, these are fine. We got rid of a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, those are good.
I don't think we didn't get rid of all the challenges. I think Deb had she pointed out stuff that were more hypothetical, and we got rid of them. These seem pretty concrete.
Those are good. Yeah, those are good. Those 2 slides capture some salient ones and enough to let people know we also, there are more, but we did in fact look at, the challenges that would be faced as well. So I think they're good. What was the deal with the grants?
Minor formatting point. Notice the previous slide, the bullet points have space between them.
I agree.
And the next one, they do not.
Right.
Yes.
Karen, did you have another comment as well?
No, that was the same comment, but there are some slides that you did before I got here where my suggestion was to increase the font size. I don't know if you.
Yeah, we can go back and go through these again and just make some formatting changes.
Yeah.
Google Slides are a little awkward in making these changes. If you've worked with it, you'll see what I mean. Start trying to increase the size, and then it only goes to maximum size. Then you got to increase the actual text box if you want it to be more than that.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's just a little, it's a little quirky because it's freeware. I think that's why. But it's
I don't think you need to worry about the size. This is going to be shown on a screen. So it's going to be bigger on the screen.
You're going to see it like this. So this is going to be fairly.
No, that one's fine. I was referring to some earlier slides.
Can we go on and just confirm that slide 24?
That right there?
No, the next one. The next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna add the website and the email address, right?
Okay.
The URL. Yep. And yeah.
Are we promising any responses to hearing from them?
Good question.
Or are before we make it easy, we should know what we're going to do with what they have to say.
Good point.
In the past, we've said we would take questions and we would put them and answers on our website.
Yeah, I know.
Is that
But
who's going to do that?
Who does that, and can they speak for everyone?
Well,
I think
I started to read. Go ahead, Jane.
I think that's where our conversation on that fell down, because we got to a point where we thought answers should be approved by the whole committee.
Actually, I think it's what
Well, that's the next agenda item, right? Is to talk about that.
Is it really? I'm not looking at the agenda.
I know we're gonna lose Deb pretty soon because she had kind of a hard thing on the, so I do want to take a vote on this. Was the point of slide 25, the grants, to just have that available as an addendum if the question came up around, you know, what's the process, or they wanted a little more in depth, we'd have that available to show them? Was that the point of 25 and just having that available?
Hmm.
For those of you that don't have 25 in front of you, it's entitled grant, and it says the first grant, you know, funded study was in 2019, and then it just went through, you know, what was done right up until the third grant funded in 2020, 21, 22. So.
And that one's not on this form, on this presentation.
And didn't we move that to 25 from someplace else? At some point, do I remember that?
You know, I think you might be right. We lifted it maybe from a previous presentation.
Hmm.
Because it actually went up. This one only really goes up to, it doesn't capture Mary. This goes up to 20, 21, and then it just says 21-2. But that doesn't, that gets us to, there was a fourth one. And the fourth grant was Mary and the facilitation. So this one is, this slide is not complete. It would have to be added to.
I mean, I'll have to be honest. I mean, I'm not sure this slide is needed. It could be its own separate document somewhere else to give history.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we can get rid of this.
We finish it up, add the fourth grant, and just have it as an addendum.
Yeah,
just have it at the end of very end.
This was kind of a placeholder, if I remember correctly. I'm going to copy the information because it's in a decent order. We can always add to it. No, let's not get my comments out. Let's and I will just put it into paste it into a doc. Oh, that didn't work. All right. Well,
unless it was the second to the last slide that said, you know, had the grants that were there, and you said the following help to fund our work, and then it just shows the grants.
I don't
think we want to get into all the questions
I don't either.
that come up about that.
I think we need to get rid of it. Just get rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think if Greg can copy it and bring it up to date and put it on the website, and if somebody questions how we finance things, we can refer them to that.
I would like to entertain a motion that we approve the, I guess since we made some adjustments to the slide presentation, approve the PowerPoint slide presentation and the accompanying script.
As amended.
As amended.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, roll call, the way it appears on my screen. Mike?
Aye.
Greg?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Karen?
Abstain. I wasn't here for a lot of it.
Okay, fair enough. And Raina?
Raina, yes.
Okay, so we have an affirmative. vote on that. So that is in place. There was a little bit of the semantics. Now, we agreed earlier that Deb was so graciously accepted the invite to do the voiceover. So she will be doing that. Maybe you and Greg can talk about that. We don't need to get into the particulars of that here, right? Just a target date perhaps of when you think that would be available.
Can I just ask about the last slide says, what about questions? What are people going to do if they have questions? Are they just going to email the website?
Well, if this is done in person as a presentation, even though the
right,
you know, we can field questions to the best of our knowledge in-person meetings or even Zoom meetings.
And then we should scribe them. You know, there should be a scribe to take the questions anyways, because if one person asks them, it's good to capture that and then put the answer to it later. So capture it. I've begun to go back now and look at questions that were asked previously that Mary had captured in her notes. So that will take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't take too much. Most of the answers are pretty straightforward. So to answer your question, then I guess Greg's saying we fielded.
Well, yeah, are we moving on to the next agenda item?
No. I was just wondering in the script. I just want to understand, like at the end of the script, I'm just going to refer people to go to our website.
No.
Yeah,
yes,
but we'll be present.
If we're doing this as a group presentation, whoever the presenters are, will
be there to answer
the audience know that they're going to field questions.
Okay, I get it.
If somebody just reads this online by themselves, then it needs to have that, you know, we're interested in your questions and comments and whatever.
Right.
Well, and we're even if it's in a group.
People, if we're presenting this, people are just gonna hear my voice. So the people live there will just have my voice as opposed to presenting. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can let the presentation run with your narration, and then at the end, we have people in the room that, if there are questions, can hopefully answer them, or if not, we can write them down.
Well, we should collect them in any case, right?
Because
well, that's
having questions, even if we think we've answered them in the room, other people who don't watch that meeting may have the same question.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Right.
I have a question. If the need comes up to pause the slideshow, are we going to be able to do that, or we're going to have to let it run to the end?
No, it's going to be it can be a video, and in a sense, they're going to make I mean, we can do a slideshow. If we're doing a narration, right? It's not going to be stepping through a slide. It's going to be creating a video with the slides. And I think, you know, you can easily stop the video,
okay,
and let the audience look at the slide for as long as they'd like.
Okay.
Right. Or back it up if somebody says, wait a second, what did that say?
I mean, I honestly think it should be on our YouTube channel. I mean, that's the first place we should put it. So it's easily accessible, and can be accessible by anyone.
And also on the Berniston TV.
Yeah, I mean, it can easily be sent. Once you have it on YouTube, you can send it to any of the television stations, and they can stream it from you know, at their end.
Okay, so Deb, do you want to
sorry,
do you have a target date between Deb and I guess Greg? Is there a need for her to get into your studio to do this? I know you've got a fantastic one. I've seen it. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's up to Deb. I mean, if you could try it out with your own system. I mean, for voice, voice is pretty easy to capture. You don't need, professional mics and all that. It can be done with your laptop mics. You can try it out and see how it sounds. If it doesn't sound very good and you want to come to my studio, then fine. You could even, yeah. But I mean, if that's the case, then just let me know. I mean, the weekend, weekends are usually okay. But when's your voice at its best, Deb?
As long as I don't have to sing.
Not usually in the morning, right? You got to wake up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see the studio.
Deb, are you Windows or Apple?
I'm Windows.
There's a Chrome browser plugin called Screencastify, or there's basically browser products that could allow you to run the PowerPoint and do your voiceover and just capture it on your computer.
Okay. I'll try it and see how it goes.
But
it might be just easier to go to Greg's and
I mean, you could. And what we could do is we just the trick is to just speak slowly, and you just read it. You don't have to time it with the slides, and then I can do a video of a screen video of stepping through the slides with the narration, so it moves exactly with your narration.
Oh boy,
let's do that. That sounds good. Than me trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you don't want to try to time it. You just want to be able to read it slowly, so people have a chance to digest it, and then I can time the slides with the narration as opposed to you trying to time your narration with the slides.
Sounds good. So, what do you have for a target date?
It's up to Deb.
I'm going away this weekend. I could do it next weekend.
That would be like the, what is that? The
weekend before Halloween.
29th,
30th.
That's fine. Yeah, it won't take long.
Do you have a soccer game, Craig, then?
Probably. Well, you have a soccer game too, then.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm teaching everybody's kid here. I mean, I got Deb, and then I've got Mike's granddaughter, both in my band at school. We have all sorts of great conversations.
All right, I'm gonna move on to
we can call
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just let me know what works for you. I think I have that weekend open, so I'm fine.
Okay. So I mentioned that, Greg, maybe you can help, but we'll look at the question, try to capture all the questions and start getting some answers together. We've got a little bit of time because we want to try to have those before the next presentation.
Yeah, Alan, just for planning purposes, we really got to get on the next grant ASAP.
Yep. And now I guess the first rollout we agreed was going to be with the select boards, and I think Jane was going to, I can't remember clearly, she was going to work with Pioneer possibly, and Lynn, I think you were starting to take the lead. Is that so? Can you give us an update there? I saw her November 7th and 14th, so take it away.
I talked to Wendy. She confirmed we can have the 7th. However, and however she does it, what she's going to do is to give us an hour before the regular select board meeting starts. So if it's jammed on the 7th, it doesn't matter. We have our time and we won't be overrun. However, there seemed to be some concern from people who know better than I about how the acoustics work in the town hall meeting room. And I'd originally thought, having it in person would be super. But from what I understand, there are issues with people who are speaking in the meeting room being understood by anybody who's on Zoom. So the suggestion was made that we go to the all Zoom meeting. Wendy was kind of a little bit confused about that, but she did acknowledge there's some people had complained about being able to hear, and I think that had to do with people that are perhaps physically in the meeting room speaking, and then it's not picked up on Zoom. So I'd like somebody else to comment on, this concern, so that we can make a good decision as to which date to choose. But it'll be either the 7th or the 14th.
Well, I think Mike had he made a good suggestion via email that the 14th would work better. I think that would work better for the Gill select board as well, just because we have a hard time trying to do 2 meetings. Basically we could hold our meeting down there, but doesn't work very well for us.
Okay.
So I mean, the 14th would be not a problem, because we don't have a meeting on that day, so it just makes it easier for us to show up and give our attention to that.
Okay, that I'll set that up for the 14th then.
And Mike, was that right? I mean, I think you suggested the 14th too, correct?
Well, yeah. Given the choice of the description, my experience, having listened to some meetings that have been hybrid meetings, is that I've had trouble. I had the same experience with some of the forums that we had that were taped, where people would be talking who were physically at, in the location, and I couldn't hear what they were saying. So I think it may have to do with how the mics are set up or whatever. But there was the same issue when Montague broadcast its interviews with their assistant town administrator candidates, and they were interviewed by a committee, and some of the people on the committee would be talking, asking questions, and it was very hard to hear what they were saying. So my concern is that, I think hopefully a number of people will watch the meetings after the fact. In any case, not be in the same room as the meeting. And so we want everything to be as clear as possible. So whatever makes that possible.
Well, I think that's a matter of getting speakers to use the mic. Sometimes even when there are individual mics sitting in front of you, if you don't keep your face towards the mic, it doesn't pick up everything you say. I mean, I might be talking to one of you and decide to turn my head and speak to somebody else down the table. And when I turn my head, then it's no longer going into the microphone.
Well, my question is the preference to have hybrid, or is having an in-person meeting out of the question, or what?
Well, Montague says its 7th meeting is hybrid and its 14th meeting is Zoom, remote only.
Right.
So I don't think they're offering all in person.
Yeah, the only one in the month is the 7th that'll be the hybrid and the in-person piece. Every other meeting, which is a Monday, will be by Zoom only.
I mean, is there a problem with waiting till the 14th? If that works better for Gil, to me, that's a good.
It's fine. We're meeting in person, and we kind of prefer that, because hybrid and Zoom is complicated, and not complicated, but for like hybrid.
Well, the 14th will not be hybrid. The 14th will
be Zoom. I think Zoom is better than hybrid for sure, for the reasons you gave.
Okay, and especially for your timing and your coordination.
Yeah. And what time would it be, Len? You have what time?
6 p.m.
At 6. Yeah, so that would definitely work better for the 14th.
Okay.
And I'll tell them it's Zoom.
Yeah, and so you've got it. All right.
Okay. Yep.
That's great. And that works for me, because select board in Warwick meets on the 7th. So on the 14th, I'm open now. Will we get an invitation to or a link so that any of us board members can be present to listen?
We need that. I think that's going to be important.
It'll be an open meeting.
So who's sending? All right. So who sends the link out for that joint meeting? How does that work?
It'll be posted on Montague's website. We can copy and paste it and send it to the board.
And perhaps.
All right, can you do that, Greg? Make sure the board gets it.
Once it's posted, yeah. I mean, once it's posted,
Okay.
yeah. Because it'll have to be posted for our select board as well. Because if we've got a quorum.
So why don't we do?
And what time does that start?
6 p.m.
Yes, and may I ask Wendy just to send Greg the Zoom link so he can share it, just make things a little simpler. Will that work?
Yeah, I mean, it will have to be posted on our website. So it could come to me, or it could come to our town administrator, Ray Purrington.
Yeah, we just need to make sure it gets disseminated properly to as many people as we possibly can do that would be interested. Because we have a similar, we're going to be wanting to include the finance committees. And so they'll need that connection also.
Yeah, so once you send us the link, we'll pass it on to our finance committee.
And maybe the school committee as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Lynn, for that, and whoever helped to coordinate. You have another question, Lynn?
Yeah, just last little piece in terms of passing on to the finance committees and things like that. Is there anything special that I should request or, do? Because I'll coordinate this with Wendy Bogus. And she's very good about, how do you say, communicating.
So I guess the only question I would have is someone who's the quote presenter would, because Wendy would have the presentation, and if she's in control, somebody would say, hi, I'm Lynn Reynolds from the, a member of the planning board, and, we have a presentation. Someone sort of rules it out before the presentation begins. I'm assuming, who would be doing that?
That's a good question. I'd like to know that too.
I think we have to decide.
Lynn, are you?
We don't. It probably goes to the chairman.
I think
Lynn should do it.
Well, I'm just thinking because of how people respect Mike. If Mike is there and he can go back and forth, we need somebody that's really knowledgeable, that can respond personally, especially if people have questions as the slide is running through. We need to have somebody that can pause that slide and answer questions and so forth, so it's not like a movie. Does that make sense?
Do we
I don't see him
that,
jumping up and down.
So Mike, I'm happy to be there and do whatever can be done, but I don't feel comfortable fielding everything all on my own. Is that
well, I as I see it, whoever, I mean, if we have all board members there, I mean, I'm happy to do what I can. It seems to me that we have several board members there. It might not be only one person fielding questions. Okay. I also think that we should not be shy about saying that's a good question. We'll get an answer and get back to you.
Yeah.
I think we've already agreed that even if we think we know the answer, somebody's, I mean, maybe to me, a question is who's going to be the scribe? Who's going to be writing down all the questions? We will have it will be recorded, so it wouldn't have to be done right there in the moment. But I think that it'll be nice to answer questions on the spot. It will be, but the important thing is to make sure that all questions are captured.
Yes.
And collected with all the other questions that come up at the other meetings.
Yes.
And put into some form that can be used to communicate answers to the wider public.
Well, I'd be happy to do the introduction. I'd be glad to do that. I just need to brainstorm with somebody so I fully understand, what the capabilities are and how it's going to go.
Yeah, so maybe, Len, you could, if you didn't mind, you open things up and maybe you could just serve as the scribe if there's questions to capture the question. And then Greg and Mike and whoever else is there can be the ones fielding the questions. You don't have to worry about that part.
Okay.
Hey, Alan, I just want to
Yes,
mention
great.
that, well, if this is going to be a fully Zoom, a Zoom meeting, it's going to be recorded. So we will have the recorded record so that we can go back. If a scribe is worried about not keeping up with questions or whatever, well, we can always go back and watch the video of the meeting.
Right. And I think
Mike pointed that out.
Oh, sorry, I was on the phone. Apologize.
Oh, yeah, Mike did point that out, which is good. Thank you.
And if you do have somebody writing down the questions, it can be a lot easier to have them in, most of them in one place. And then if you've got to go back and gather it, then one can do that too, because it's probably, it's an hour's worth of stuff to have to listen back through.
Right.
Okay.
But if you focused on just writing the question down, you don't have to try to write the whole answer. We can find that out later, or even tweak answers later on the website or expand them. Or like Mike said, say, geez, we'll have to get back to you. And then, we have the question there. So it sounds like we've got the logistics of that taken care of. Can we move over to Jane? Have you made any progress with trying to coordinate with the 4 towns, 2 towns?
No, I haven't.
1 town?
And I'm embarrassed to say that, but I just have not made progress with it.
Okay, no problem.
I will try to have more time to get that done. We did decide that we'd like to do it in November, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no problem and no judgment. That's great that you're taking it on, and it's not going to be ready anyways. A little bit of time until the end of October, which is really good. And I think it's going to be a nice professionally done product. So you can start, just avoid the 14th and not get too close to Thanksgiving.
Well, and the 7th is too soon. So maybe after Thanksgiving, I don't know. Well, I have to get.
No, and you'll have to decide, whether when you're talking to folks, do they want in person and everybody comes together in one room, or do people also want to do a hybrid or just in person? So you've got some things to think about. So just let it marinate and talk to a few people and see what makes sense.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh no, not a problem. Like I said, no judgment here. So then we have. I think we covered everything. We just need the.
Oh, before we go away from that subject, Lynn mentioned questions coming up during the presentation. I was more inclined to hold your questions till the end.
Yes. That's what she's going to say in the script. Deb has that in the script. We'd appreciate you hold your questions to the end. I was thinking more of something happened in the room and you had to stop it for a minute just to do something like that, and then you continue on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Mike? Yeah, I just, I'm not sure what we did on agenda item 5 with the questions. I mean, we sort of talked about questions, but what?
So what I said was, let me go back. I obviously wasn't very clear, or I faded out. So I've been trying to identify the questions that Mary came up with. I'm trying to capture them and put answers to them. So that's in progress. And then I'll look back to see any others in the reports that may have gotten captured. So that will be ongoing. And then we'll add all those to the, to the website. We can, at a meeting, we can get that out. Here are the questions, here's the responses. And, we could take a look at that before we put them on our website.
Well, I guess that's
however you want to do that.
To clarify, I mean, I think we should, and I guess the question is, should we wait until we've collected more questions from this round or not? I mean, we'll be collecting questions, hopefully, more questions within the next month or so. I mean, my take is that we should encourage people. I know I myself, I can go to a meeting, I can hear something, I may or may not have questions. But if I go home and think about it the next day or a couple of days later, questions may occur to me that didn't occur to me that at the meeting. So I think we should encourage people to get questions that come to them to us after the fact and allow some time for that to happen. But then I think it'd be good if once all the questions have been collected, if there's a working group or whatever to kind of put them together and come up with answers. But it seems to me if they're questions to the committee, then the committee ought to at least be able to have a look-see, and same thing we did with the presentation and the script, kind of go over it and either say this looks good or we ought to change this or change that.
Okay, Lynn.
So I have a funny technical question. So this is going to be a Zoom meeting. How do the slides get presented physically? Is there somebody going to be in a meeting room? I mean, how do people see the presentation?
They'll send the video can be sent to whoever's hosting, and they can share it just the way we're doing it. So they can share the video, play the video, and then it'll come back into what we're seeing now, which is your gallery view.
So being rather technically challenged.
You don't have to do that, Lynn. It'll be taken care of for you.
Somebody will do it.
I think Wendy knows how to do that.
Yeah, Wendy, I'm sure can do that.
Even
if they can't, they can pass the host to someone who can. So it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so
you'll be fine.
Okay, so you and Mike
you won't have to do it. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Wendy and Steve share their screens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can share a screen and play a video off YouTube. It's pretty easy.
Okay, so if you or Mike are going to do that, that'll be super.
Well, we should have.
Mike, going back to your question.
That's what she does at the meetings, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, going back to your question. So I like the idea of a working group. Let's capture all the questions. This will be a work in progress. We'll have new questions to add to the other ones. And then we can get maybe a working group together, and some of us can start. I certainly would start answering, some of the questions and try to get, something down to review, but then have a working group to go over those. And then when we're done, we can put those on the website. So does that answer that question about how we'll proceed with previous questions and ones that are going to come up?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, and then so our next date, I put down the 50 and the 60. Maybe David could remind me if I messed up in terms of do we have any of those dates that I may have picked? That's a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
The Tuesday works best for me.
Okay, how about November 15th then? Want to give that a shot?
I have a conflict on the 15th. This is Raina, but don't schedule around me.
Okay, well, I appreciate you letting us know, Raina, and thank you for attending this one. You've got a lot going on, being chair and so forth, and all the negotiations that have been happening. If that seems pretty good, I'll put that in for 6:30 on November 15th. And one of the items what did we learn from the presentation on the 14th? Because I'm sure we'll come up with some things that will help us to make it better as we begin to roll it out to the general public. It looks like what's happening is we roll it out to select boards and have conversations, gets information in November. And maybe early December, there might be a couple, we can talk about that, but we then can start handing it off to bring it into the schools, you know, present it to staff, present it to, you know, the PTO, maybe a combined, and we can, you know, roll it out from there because we want it to get as many views as possible. Mike?
I thought, maybe I misunderstood. I thought we were going to show it to the select boards and then ask them for some kind of feedback on whether to proceed. Are we looking to get that feedback from, I mean, how?
No. Okay, so no, I'm not looking, okay, I'm talking as an individual member. I am not looking to get their permission on whether or not we should bring this out to get feedback from the other stakeholders and constituents. My perspective, I guess, was that we're bringing this to the boards of selectmen and those folks first because they're the government, the leaders in the town, to, you know, present the information and get the questions that they would have. But we would then be concurrently lining up meetings with the staff and with parents and so forth to hear what they have to say, because ultimately we are the board that's going to be making the recommendation to the town one way or another. And our job is to get as much information from the various stakeholders as broad as possible, and not just one set of stakeholders. So that's my perspective. If people don't think that's a logical way to proceed, please speak up.
I agree with you, Alan.
Yeah, I agree, Alan. I think the discussion was that we would ask the select boards to recommend places where we should show this, other groups that we should, you know, target that we maybe hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
I don't know who they'll come up with, but I mean, that's why that's why we ask them.
I thought we were kind of doing both. I mean, that my recollection was that, which is coincides with Mike, which is we were also trying to get a read from the select boards whether or not they're feeling like we should be moving forward. It's not that we're asking them for permission, but we're trying to get a read on what their thoughts are after we give the presentation. And then also getting a read on the staff and the public at large. So I thought it was kind of both, but maybe I'm wrong.
Question. Yeah. Would it be a good idea to invite the press to attend the meeting? Just put in a personal call.
They're going to be attending.
Okay.
I already know. Yeah, I mean, we had a meeting and that we actually, it came up on our agenda with the select board finance committee last night. And I told them that it looked like November 14th would potentially be the date. Yep. And the recorder was there and they wrote it down. They're planning on being there.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to add that my recollection was the same as Greg's, pretty much. That, you know, we talked about needing to check in with the leaders that started all this for us.
Yes.
And so we wanted their feedback on this.
Yeah, it's feedback, not permission. We're not asking for permission. We don't need their permission, but
right.
it is good to have their feedback to see where they stand after, especially after we give our presentation and kind of give our summary.
And I assume we would be getting that with all the groups, you know, all the stakeholders that were based on their questions and you know, the comments that you're going to make.
That's correct, Alan.
Can't help but get feedback. You know?
Yeah, no,
so
that's correct. But I think the leaders are the ones that, you know, I think it's really important to get their read on it, because a lot of times the public at large are going to be looking to the leaders to see what they think. So I that's the way I remember it. It's I'm kind of in line with Mike and Michelle, but I don't know. Okay. I mean, I also think we're soliciting feedback from everyone.
Right, which is we're rolling it out to everybody, all the stakeholders. So that'll have to be the next thing to coordinate, because we're doing that concurrently after after the select board, views it, we'll figure out how to present it to the different groups, which would mean contacting the superintendents, the principals, and so on. All right, I think, is there any other bit? By the way, this was a great meeting. Thank you so much. There was a lot of complex thinking and input and perspectives, which I think just made this a more perfect presentation. Nothing's ever perfect, but it's certainly all these contributions people made along the way made a difference. So thank you for that. Is there any other business that we need to address on this one item agenda or one focused agenda? All right, it's 8:18. Anyone want to make a motion?
So
I
move.
move that we adjourn.
I got one thing to add just came up. With the grant that we're going to have to write, I think it would be important for us as a board to decide on what the deliverables would be. And we don't have much time. The deadline is November 10th.
Oh boy.
So, I mean,
Wow.
I know. I mean, I just thought of that. I mean, Alan, you and I can do that. But I do think it's something that the board in the past has always had to say in the deliverables. So just throwing that out there, we don't have much time.
Well, what's the expectation? What are we looking for?
Well, I don't think we should.
When can the money be spent?
Well, this is a different grant, so I have to go back and look if it's a like a June 30th deadline. I can't remember. I haven't even had a chance to get into the nuts and the bolts of the grant. What I did do is I reached out to Joanne Blyer and got a copy of the 2018 grant that Michael Sullivan wrote, because that was a grant that was successful in this ENR grant process. We shifted over to DESI grants after that. So we are going back to sort of the original ENR grants. And I think it's a little more lengthy. That's why I'm a little concerned. We got to get on it, because I think there's more paperwork that needs to be done. So, I mean, maybe Alan, maybe you and I can get together and and try to brainstorm the deliverables as quickly as possible. I think, it's going to be sort of anticipating more facilitation, but the big one is going to be, and I don't know how to approach this, which is going to be, if we vote to proceed and make a recommendation, we've got to somehow fund the new regional agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be done in this grant. It doesn't
Wait a minute. Go back to Mike's question. When would the grant expire? June 30th again?
I don't know, Alan. I have to go back. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
When would the money be available?
The money could be available as soon as January. Looking back at the old grant.
What was the duration of the old grant?
I don't know.
You don't remember that?
I can't remember. It might be a year. This grant particular, because it's a different grant, we've been used to having a deadline of June 30th. It may be a calendar year. I'm not sure. I can go find it.
Sometimes they give you 15 to 18 months. I've gotten several of those grants.
ENR grants, yeah, because they are different.
I've gotten two.
I think they can be extended longer than just to June 30th of the next year.
Yeah, so we just got one for our police, and it went for a year and a half.
Yeah, so I think you're right.
We really don't need to be concerned with so much with these grant terms as what do we need? What deliverables do we need, and what are our priorities? And then let's try and line them up to the grant. But I don't think we just need to go out fishing for money. We need to know what we want and
Well,
then
we
try
can't,
to clear it up.
can't do that anyways. I mean, we have to give deliverables and then estimate the cost of it. So
Yeah.
we're
So
gonna-
what are the next 3 steps? Those are the deliverables, you know, and what do we need help with to get them?
the new regional agreement has to be in there if we vote to proceed. Because if we don't, we're going to be behind by quite a bit.
All right, so you can
But wait,
put it in
there's
there,
some-
but then not fund it.
Right. I
Right?
mean,
You can put
it
it
may
in and
turn
not
out that it
fund it.
doesn't get funded if we don't vote to go forward, and that's fine.
Right.
But
So
this group
David,
does
on your
not,
point, go ahead, Jane.
this group does not need to write the regional agreement.
No. It would be funding the consultants, whoever we, when we send it out to bid.
This committee is not responsible for a district agreement.
We are.
Yes, it
No,
is.
we're not.
The board.
Well,
is-
even if we're not, we ought, if that's where we're going, we ought to help it along.
No, we are actually, Jane. We are responsible for the towns to vote to regionalize. We have to provide them with a regional agreement. Have to. It's not even.
But when you say, wait a minute, let me clarify this, Jane.
that's-
Jane, let me clarify this. You're right in terms of we, the board, are not going to be doing this like ours, like
Ourselves.
us. We're going to have a consultant that's going to be working with all the town officials, the finance committees, probably maybe even the existing school committees in terms of, there's so many facets that will come together on that we, in a sense, will be the spectators because it will be driven by the wishes of the towns who will ultimately be crafting this agreement that they think all the towns can live with. And that will be conversations between the town. So I see us more as funding it and hiring a facilitator and then sort of being spectators to the process as they look at their present regional agreements and how those springboard off to creating a new one and so forth.
Well, but
Does
Alan,
that make sense?
But Alan, we as a board are responsible to make that regional agreement happen. We are.
I thought at our last
That's it.
meeting that it was determined that that's what's happening in Berkshire, but that was not the requirement. They were doing it because they had a building project that they needed to know whether it was going to be a new district or the old district.
Right, but they can't get their towns to vote unless they provide the regional agreement, which is why they're not going.
Yeah, I mean, when you're voting to create a district, you're adopting a district agreement.
That's correct.
There's nothing else to do.
That's right. I mean, we have to provide this. It's not even a question. It's actually in the statute. We have to actually provide a new regional agreement, which is why they're working on it so quickly, because they're worried they're going to run out of time with the MSBA. So they need to get that done ASAP.
So Jane, what I was saying at the
misunderstood that.
last meeting, and you recall correctly, is that I did not see us, that we needed more time to roll out and get feedback and so forth, to see if we wanted to then, move forward and actually go to start, if we're going to recommend that, start putting together a regional agreement. Where I was saying we don't have to do what they're doing. They're like just jumping right to it, because they don't, I guess, they really have short circuited a number of processes that I think we're doing in terms of
let me
our
explain.
outreach.
Let me explain it though, Ellen. The reason they're moving forward is they already feel they have the votes of the towns to move forward with this. So what they're concerned with is if they don't get their regional agreement done, that they're going to run out of the time frame to get their MSBA loan to build the high school. They already know that the towns want to do this. They think they already have the votes, but they have to move forward with the regional agreement. So they already started on it. The reason why we need to put money into it is that if we decide to move forward with it, if we don't put it in now, we're going to have to wait for another grant cycle for that to happen. We could put it in for now as a contingency. If we vote to not move forward, then the grant just doesn't get fulfilled, and that's fine. But we don't want to get caught short because doing a regional agreement takes a long time. We don't want to have to wait another like 6 or 8 months or 9 months, hoping that the state's going to fund another grant for us to move forward. It's just going to put us another, 6 to 12 months behind.
Wow, okay.
Mike?
Well, so is that the only thing we want out of this grant? Or are there other things that we need prior to going to an RFP for somebody to write the district agreement?
I think we need a survey. We need more surveys and get feedback there. So we need to put together a really good survey and plenty of time to get that information in a bunch of venues. I think we might want to take a look at. We just got a snapshot of what a salary schedule might look like, but where it needs to be negotiated, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what that would probably look like. So we could hire somebody to put together not just snapshots of where a few people would fall, which is what we got last time, but a comprehensive schedule of this is what it might be. And that, of course, that would be going on into a collective bargaining agreement later down the road, but it definitely would give people a sense of, what that could look like. I think we could get a good jump on that. As we've been talking about, money aside for regionalization agreement. Maybe other deliverables. When we look back at Steve Hemmon, they put together, these are the steps that you have to do to, if you're moving toward regionalization. If we go back and look at, there were a couple pages that they outlined, we could take a look at that to see what we might want to be pulling off of that and to keep us moving along the process that they had laid out. So we could probably use that as a source document to see what else.
They laid that out and it's on their, thanks, who put that up? As if I don't know.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's something they developed quite a long time ago and they give to everybody.
Yeah. So we can pull off of that to see what else we need to get done. So if other people, can you share that? Can you send that to everyone, Greg? And then no, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Keep scrolling so fast.
Greg, you're on mute. Can someone chat him? Let me see.
There, sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, this timeline will tell you that you need to get right on the right. Support from all 6 towns, regional agreement is sent, right? So we have to provide that regional agreement for them to, right?
I know, but
it says it right here. All 6 town members.
I see that.
Yeah. So that's why it says right here that the next step is planning board sends draft regional agreement to both regional school committees, right? We're kind of in that next step.
If we're moving forward and we're still in the state of, we can write that into the grant,
right?
But we need to get that survey and we need to hear from more stakeholders. And then concurrently, we can have these things in the grant. Well, this is going to be a big grant. This would be
it's going to be a big grant because we want to include, if by chance that we decide to move forward, we're going to need the money to do the regional agreement. And that's something we can't, none of us have time to do. So,
right.
Mike has a question.
Yeah, well, not so much a question as a comment. If you look at Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 14B, it spells out the requirement that the planning board create one or more regional agreements. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be, per David's comment earlier in the meeting, we certainly could come up with more than one recommendation for the towns to choose among. And we would need to have more than one regional agreement. For example, we could have we could propose a 5-town region and not include we could propose a 6-town region on the condition that the Warwick Community School become part of the new district. I'm not saying that we want to do one or the other, but those are both possibilities at the moment. And so we don't need to feel that we should be limited to only one regional agreement. Also, to Alan's comment that if we go the route of, if we do decide to recommend, that we'll just become sort of spectators to the regional agreement process. I like that idea, but I don't think it's realistic. Because I think that the towns will turn right back to us and say, we need you guys' help.
Yeah.
And there are an awful lot of questions that no consultant will be able to answer for us. We're going to have to answer for ourselves. Like, what will the school committee look like? How will the assessments be calculated? And on, that somebody's going to have some sort of conversation, and we're an obvious forum for those conversations.
And Mike, take a look at this. I mean, it goes step by step through this regional agreement of how to do it, which is the nice thing. So Alan, we can actually use this timeline in our grant proposal, because it basically spells out what we need to do. And to Mike's, to answer Mike's
right. I'm just saying we're not
do that.
Spectators.
No, I agree, Mike. I don't see us as being spectators.
It doesn't do that. I think
I'm using that. I'm definitely using that word loosely in terms of we're going to need major feedback from the towns, and it's what they can live with that's going to help to craft how we're going to be trying to put this together with a consultant. Bill, were you talking? I'm sorry, I may have talked over you.
Bill? No, that's all right. I just have fundamental disagreement with where we're going here. This number 1 says that we, the 6-town regional planning board, begins the process to produce a new regional agreement. And then the next one says this regional agreement amendment committee. That's the new regional agreement that we're in the process of developing. That is not necessarily this 6-town regional planning board. And I think I don't have a problem with going further, but I really think that we are not the same committee that is going to be reviewing this process of forming a regionalization agreement.
I agree with that, Bill. I didn't mean to say we were. I'm just saying that it is our responsibility to produce a regional agreement. It can be through a regional agreement amendment committee, and that is.
Well, that clearly says.
How does that come into being, though? Do we create that?
Well, I would say look at Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 14B. It doesn't mention a regional agreement amendment committee.
Yeah, I mean, this is put out by the. I think what they're insinuating is that it doesn't necessarily have to be the board. It could be a committee from the board that meets monthly, and it says with a professional regionalization consultant like Mars or someone like that, and that you're trying to basically produce what the board is responsible to produce, which is a new regional agreement.
Yeah,
it's not out of our hands. I mean, we have to make sure that this happens as a board.
It is our responsibility to produce a regional agreement. If we recommend forming a new region, we can't just say, oh, we think we ought to form a new region and somebody else is going to figure out how it's going to work. We've got to describe how it's going to work in order for people to decide whether they want to do it or not.
Yeah, and the nice thing, Bill, is that we, Berkshire and Berkshire Hills and Southern Berkshires have already begun work on theirs. So we have another, planning board that's leapfrogged us in this because they're under the gun to get this done. But we can ask them a lot of questions in terms of the specifics of this. They're filling out a grant right now, the same grant, I believe. So I'll be back in touch with Jake Eberwein. And we can ask some questions about these very things here.
That's great.
I think that's.
I accept that. Let's. How much money do you think we need to ask or get a grant for?
Well, that's, you
the real
know,
question.
well, yeah, I think the money, I think that's another question I can pose to Southern Berkshire, but since they're ahead of us and that they are already, you know, that they have a project manager, which he's going to have a pretty good idea in terms of how much money they're spending to produce this regional agreement. So that's a great
Couple 100,000.
Yeah, I
couple
wouldn't surprise
100,000.
me if it's about 100,000.
No, couple 100,000.
Yeah, it might be. It might be more than that. Yeah, I mean, it could be. We have to. I got to see what the threshold for the grant is. I think we're up. We can go up to 200, maybe. I mean, there is a.
So I guess I agree with Bill, and I agree with Greg, and I agree with what I had said before that we may be, you know, we're a big part of this, and it's coming from us in terms of the recommendation, but we have a lot of responsibility in mirroring this to this committee that is going to be heavily involved at the town level to contribute to what it is that they feel their towns will want to see in it. So we can cross that bridge.
I'm really glad that we had this conversation because this Mars report has been, for me, has been very valuable. I keep coming back to it for this timeline, and we can put this right into the grant, and then we can flesh out from Berkshire the costs of this since they're already ahead of it. And you know, I think it's going to hopefully take care of itself. We can probably get this done fairly quickly. The surveys and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's all important, but you know, at some point, I mean, how much feedback do we want? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think we do need more feedback, but at some point we're going to have to say, okay, we've had enough feedback, we've done enough research, and we need to decide whether or not we're going to move forward with this. And we need to do it fairly soon so that we can get moving on a regional agreement if we decide to go that direction. And that's why, you know,
we need some supporting documentation. That would be one of the first things to be doing, is doing the survey. Did James start talking? I can't see folks anymore, so just start talking.
There must be some steps that we need to take before we arrive at this point. And they need to be into this grant too.
I don't
because
think
I'm listening to all the conversation here. And if I weren't part of this committee, I would say, oh, the committee has made a decision. We are going to form a new district. That's the conversation I'm hearing from all of you.
No, I'm saying that what we need to do is we need to have funding in place if we decide. Otherwise, we're going to be, you know, we're going to be waiting to have funding.
Well, I'm just telling you the gist of the conversation that I'm listening to, and with all of anybody saying, well, if, it doesn't sound like, well, if, it sounds like a done deal. And that's fine if that's what it is. But then we say we need more input. So the gist of the grant needs to include this, but it needs to have things that we need prior to this step included in the grant, so that we don't send the wrong message to a whole bunch of people.
I'm just not sure we're doing some of this work without the grant, meaning we're doing these meetings and we're doing this information and feedback gathering right now, which we don't have any money for this. We're all just going to volunteer that. So my question is, what, you know, do we want a survey? And if we do, then to get the money to fund whatever that survey is going to be, we're going to have to wait till January, or are we going to do that survey now, craft it ourselves, and then, you know, we're not seeking funding for that at this point.
Well, the survey wasn't on tonight's agenda, and unfortunately our next meeting is too late to deal with this grant. So I don't know what we mean by a survey. If we're going to send out questionnaires, we're going to be lucky if we get a 10% response, and you know doggone well we won't get a 10% response unless we want to send it out to ourselves and guarantee that we each answer, then we'll get better than 10%. But questionnaires don't get you what you really wish they would get you.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do these surveys? We're going to do it by these presentations and the questions that we get and the reactions that we get in our presentations.
We could.
So do we
could.
I mean, I lean more towards having more public meetings and trying to get, once people begin to realize.
Well, I think that's what I just said.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Jane. I really do. I think that surveys aren't really going to do much for us. And I think
all I'm saying is I don't want to write the grant tonight, but I'm just saying the grant can't be totally focused on writing an agreement, a district agreement.
So
because it's going to send the wrong.
Jane, let me ask. Yeah, and I agree with you. Let me ask this quick question of the board. Do you think, Greg and I have been trying to, move it along, and people have pointed that out, and then a lot of you have recently, have stepped up, and your contribution is invaluable. My question is, should we put money in the grant, sort of like Berkshire did, and hire a project manager that works for us, but not like to oversee this? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe we should be doing
not at this point, because the learning curve would be so great. I mean, Mary would be, I think the logical choice to help us out, because she has the lay of the land at this point. But a project manager is a whole different thing. It's kind of like I have been doing the project managing for this group. I mean, that's Jake Eberwein. He and I talk, and he's like, "You're doing everything that I'm doing, except you're not getting paid."
Right.
So, which is fine. I mean, what's done is done. I'm not going to, I mean, I volunteer.
Okay. That answer, I didn't see anyone else agree, so that's fine. So,
so Greg,
all right,
you want to continue as project manager? You don't think it's necessary to hire?
Well, I do. I will say I do need help. I mean, I do need help with minutes right now, and I did say that at the last meeting, in terms of, finding the time right now with all the things I'm juggling right now, especially with, I have.
Okay, then what we need to have in that grant is money for a recording secretary or an office assistant or whatever you want to name it.
Fine. Yeah.
That's what we need, right? Somebody to take care of all the paperwork and manage the website.
Well, the taking minutes would be nice. I mean, that, that can be the website
and paperwork. I like that. No, let's just stay with that broad thing. We'll put money in for a clerk or someone who will serve as a secretary and handle some of the administrative things that we can, asked to do. I like that. That's a great suggestion. Okay, I think
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking. Jane has made no one seconded it, but Jane made a motion to adjourn. And then we started a conversation. Does someone want to second that motion?
I second it.
Okay.
All right, Karen. Any other discussion? All right. Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Steve? Yes. Bill?
Yes. Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Michelle?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And David, are you still there?
Yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the
15th.
What do we say?
15th.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, you take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Great job, Greg and Deb. And
evening.
Mike.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.